Alright, let's talk about the for loop. So the for loop is a little bit similar to the while loop. However, the body or the structure is somewhat different. So in the for loop, you have the initialization as you see, meaning that you declare a variable over here, then the condition, which means as long as this variable, let's say it is I, is greater than a value or less than a value, then you do something on the inside, otherwise you break outside the loop. And then the increment, which is like the post-processing. Increment means that, like, let's say you are declaring a counter, it starts from I equals 0. As long as I is less than a certain value, then you go inside the loop. Then, by the way, in the increment, the value of I is incremented or decremented, okay, by 1, by 2, based on your need. So let's give an example on how to actually use this for loop. I will here prompt the user, asking him to enter a number to count to from 0. In other words, I need the user to give me an input so that I would count. Let's say he gave me 6. I want to count from 0 all the way up to 6. So read num. I will get the input from here. This is only just to create a spacing between the entry and the result. So I will go inside the for loop. For, and by the way, these two parentheses over here mean that whatever on the inside is actually a mathematical processing, a mathematical execution. And the body of the for loop is do, then done. This is the structure. You have at first initialization, condition, testing, and post-processing, then do done, and whatever inside the do done will be executed as long as the condition is met. So let's start by I equals 0. This will be our counter from 0. Then the condition is as long as I is less than or equal to num, it will go on the inside of the for loop and run the commands listed inside the body. And the post-processing is to increment the I variable by 1, meaning that I plus plus. So as long as I is less than or equal to num, this for loop will run everything on the inside. Another thing which I need to point to is the I plus plus. Okay, I plus plus means post increment of the value of I by 1. This is inherited from the C language, by the way. And what it means is that although we are adding 1 to I here, okay, we will go into the loop the first time and I will still be 0. However, once it had looped for the first time, when it goes back, then it will have the value of 1. So let's say, had I replaced the I plus plus with plus plus I, what would happen is that I had started at 0 here, right? But then I would be incremented 1 even before starting the loop. So when I echo the value of I here, it will give me immediately 1 and it would have missed the 0 value. So I plus plus, then I simply echo the value of I. I will save it and let's see what happens. So let's say 8 and you see 0, 1, 2 all the way to 8. Okay, so what is actually happening? Again, the user is entering a value, a number, and as long as I is less than that number, okay, we will display it on the output. The first time you see, the first time is 0 because of I plus plus. It is post incrementing, meaning that adding a value of 1 actually after running the loop, not before that. And it goes all the way to 8. Another thing also to point at is that if you notice here, I did not use the dollar value to extract the values of I. Why? Because simply we have used these two parentheses, meaning that I'm actually testing against the actual value of the variable, not the variable itself.